Today is Monday, March 17th, and the time is 6:02 p.m. and we are open the Recreation Committee meeting. As a preliminary matter, this is Mike Ballpone, Chair of the Newbury Recreation Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. David Brohl.
Affirmative.
David Dempsey, he is absent. He has notified me. Celine Muldowney.
Affirmative.
Mark Sand is not here currently, but I have not heard if he's attending. I thought he was tonight, so we'll bring him in, unless that's him coming in right now.
That's Mark right now.
Okay, Mark's here. So, Mark, you're here.
Yes, I am.
Okay. And Alyssa Greco. Alyssa, can we hear you, or can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
I can now. All right.
I'm here.
Employee representatives or other town attendees of any list. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. I don't see anybody else. Anticipated guest speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Jack, you there?
He's muted.
Jack, you're muted. Just want to make sure you're here.
There we go.
All right.
How we going?
You're here. Great. So let me finish the rest of my spiel here. So good evening. Today is Monday, May 17th at 6:04 p.m. An open meeting of the Newbury Recreation Committee, which is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. As such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all the meetings in a public accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows for public bodies to meet entirely remotely as long as a reasonable public access is afforded, so the public can follow along with deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not mean ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Newbury Recreation Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom as posted on the Recreation Committee agenda, which can be found on the Recreation Committee page on the town's website. The agenda identifies how the public may join the meeting. This agenda can also be accessed from the website's homepage by clicking on the link on the box that agendas at the top of the news box. Please note this meeting is being recorded so that some attendees participate by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and then take care not to share your screen on your computer unless you're requested to do so by me. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Materials were provided by the board committee members prior to the meeting for the review. Jack sent out the information regarding the boat launch information today, so hopefully you'll get a chance to open it or at least request the option to get to it. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct for our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I apologize. Okay. For my discussions, I, the chair, will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, everyone other than the board members, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please use your earbuds, earphones, with tablets, cell phones. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. Take care to not share your screen. For any response, please wait until your chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. Board members will be called upon first in alphabetical order to ease the process. If board members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. And we'll go to the first item on the agenda. We've already done the roll call. We do not have a meeting. No one took the minutes of the last meeting, so I'm asking for a motion to waive the meeting, the minutes of the last meeting.
I motion to waive the minutes of the last meeting.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I don't think you can waive minutes.
What do I need to do then?
I think you need to postpone them and have whoever was at the meeting write them up.
Yeah, you can just, you can table them for tonight and then somebody just has to go back and watch or the video recording and just recreate the minutes so they can be, and you don't need any detail, just who moved it, who seconded, and what the vote was.
Yep. Pass that, skip that then, so we're not gonna get, we'll just table the minutes instead of waiving, we'll table them.
Well, the minutes.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I apologize, my eyes are burning right now and they've been watering all day, so that's why I've been covering my eyes. All those in favor, David Brohl,
Affirmative.
Mark Sand,
Affirmative.
Celine Muldowney.
Yes.
Okay. Correspondence. I've received an application from Sphinx, which we'll discuss. I've received a email regarding the Council of Aging, which we'll discuss, as well as the porta potties, which we'll discuss. Anything else anybody else has received?
Yes, you had sent an email out to the group, which I had sent a correspondence to you, questioning deliberation issues. I'm concerned that it was done to you privately. I did mention in the email, and everybody who saw it have no problem with disclosure of that information, but in a public forum. And I'm concerned that when information like that is presented to the whole group via emails, we are in violation of the the open meeting laws, because we are deliberating.
I apologize for this. I stand corrected. I will make sure it doesn't happen again.
So
I
was there
didn't
any
realize,
comment?
I didn't realize there was something on that application that had to, I thought we could approve that, but if it's needed to go through the meeting, again, I stand corrected. Go to Alicia.
So there wasn't anything that you didn't discuss or move anything? Was it just information? I wasn't copied on the email, so I don't know.
I was
The
wondering,
conversation started, the way I interpreted it and the way I wrote it in the letter was people were confirming or approving something, which was, as I said in the letter, could be construed as a vote.
Okay. So you can, I mean, you haven't moved or anything on it. You can, let me find out, Mike, if just you need to file a disclosure with the town clerk, but that's all. And then you can add it to the next agenda.
well, it's actually the item we're talking about is actually in this agenda. That's why we scheduled this meeting, based on Mark's recommendation to do it, thinking it would be a very quick
Okay. Okay.
resolution. So the content, we originally had not planned to meet until the 7th of June. We are having this meeting to resolve some hopefully very expedient items on the agenda, with the exception of the discussion we're going to have regarding the boat launch. So, Celine, do you have any bills or claims?
Yep, I had 2 Gmello bills for 2 different months. I had Byfield Water, and then I had the security system bill. I might have mentioned that at the last meeting, but I submitted everything this week.
Okay.
When you say security, Celine, do you mean
Omni,
Burnett, the fire suppression, or the Linda Allen's company?
Omni Security.
Omni, okay.
I think that's the security for the field house.
Yeah, it's not fire suppression.
The
door.
The in and out, the door.
Yep.
Okay. While we're still talking bills and claims, money-wise, we're going to be very tight for the next 6 weeks. So, based on the last numbers that we had and the contingents going on, so we will most likely, unless we have something pending that we need to do, we'll be holding off anything until after the fiscal year. Old business, the basketball court. In conversations with town legal, Lisa Mead, and one of her partners, as well as with Tracy, the progress is moving forward with the contract and the scope getting everything taken care of. The only thing we had an issue with is the Versa Court was a different alternative and was farther down the line than expected. The group that bid on it their second item actually was the same price as it. So after discussing with Vermont Recreation, their legal, our legal, we are able to, we are going to proceed with the 4 additional courts, the hoops added. And then once the project's done, we're going to do a change order on it to have the additional item added. So the Versa court will be added, but it'll be done after the project has started, so we can get it done at the same cost that was projected.
Good.
Any comments?
Good.
Okay,
Well done.
well, any other comments? So,
was
Very
comment.
good.
yes, we've been bouncing around things left and right to try to make sure we had things getting done. So they're saying it's going to take approximately 120 days to get the work done. As soon as we can get them down here, they're going to start. I would love to have this thing up and ready before October, but it's going to be close. I originally was hoping to get it done sooner, but we lost it with the rebid and all the process we had to go through. So conflict of interest in online training. We are all required to do that. Has everybody completed that?
Nope.
I thought they were good for 2 years.
According to the town, they said we need to make sure we get this done.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, you have to print off the form and sign it and turn it in.
Well, there's 2 things. There's a summary of conflict of interest, and there is the online training that you have to go through the different pieces. That, I don't know if it's every 2 years, but they both were listed in the email. So I completed both.
I did both.
Celine did both. David, we're gonna need to have you get that done as soon as you can, please.
I'll join you, David. We'll get them done together.
All right, and then I have to find out from David Dempsey to see if he's completed it as well, but I want to make sure that was supposed to be done already, so, but it's not difficult, it's just a matter of, it's a time-consuming portion that we have to get done, but I just want to make sure that's taken care of. So now we're on to new business. Council on Aging application. They have submitted an application for 4 Wednesdays in June, the 9th, the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th for 1 hour each week. They are not using the field house, which now, based on the new news today from the governor, we may actually open up for them. That people haven't seen it yet, so, because they're lifting all COVID restrictions. That's if the town approves everything. If they don't, we're staying status quo until the town approves everything.
What was
So I
that date
need-
again?
Go ahead, Celine.
What was that date again?
On what? The opening of the state? From the governor's office was May
Yes.
29th, but again, we have to wait through the the town is gonna have to approve everything to make sure everything's all set. But, so if anybody asks, we are proceeding, we're asking the town, the select board to let us know when we can start opening the facility up to get things going.
I expect to get an update on the 25th at our next board meeting.
Okay, so when we talk in June on the 7th at our next meeting, we'll hopefully have more information then. So do I hear a motion on approving the application for the Council on Aging for the 4 dates they've asked?
A motion to approve the application.
Do I hear a
Well,
second?
What's up?
Mark?
I was waiting for the second and for discussion.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, discussion.
Yeah, I had some questions regarding the process, just and I think some people might have saw them in the email. And I did get an answer from Cindy, but she also had some other questions for us. And so basically, they're asking if they can set up 2 small canopies to provide shade. They would work with DPW on that. They would like to put up an A-frame sign that says the Newbury Council of Aging event in the parking lot, and we were going to discuss more about going down in the future. My main concern was who was paying for it, and while we're both town entities, and it would be ultimately the town's fiscal responsibility, who's going to take leadership in getting the waivers, or what kind of process there was. I also had a question regarding who's paying for this. I was concerned that, because we've had yoga there, yoga in the town before, is it a private person coming in and using COA to, as a conduit, so they don't have to pay any fee? Was it, how was it laid out? And Cindy did send an email out to, indicating that that they got a grant and that they'll be paying for it. I just want to make clear that the responsibility of the waivers, and maybe something the town administrator could help out with in terms of, do they need to fill out a waiver if it's just a typical, not typical, a event run by Council of Aging like they do any of the other events? I don't know.
Do you want me to speak up on this
Yes.
a little bit? Okay, so where it's a town event, it's a Council on Aging sponsored event. When you say who's gonna pay for it, what is it? That's my first question. Is
They're
it
having a
being-
yoga. No, again, my initial question was, it has been answered. And just out of fiduciary responsibility is who's paying for it.
Okay, so when you say
Council of
it, do you
Aging got a
mean,
grant. The
Yeah, but
Council of
when you-
Aging got a grant.
okay, but when you say it, do you mean the woman that's doing the yoga, or do you mean the use of the fields? I guess that's my question.
Who is, okay, I understand the question now. Who is paying for the yoga instructor?
I believe the Council on Aging.
Yes, they got a grant for it.
Okay. Okay, so as far as, because it's a town sponsored event, the liability is covered by the town. So
I understand that.
Yeah.
But my question, Alicia, was, whenever we had an event there, like when I had the disc, it was a town-sponsored event by the Recreation Committee. I still need to have had all the participants sign a waiver.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that may still happen. Well, I'll work with the town
Okay.
administrator and making sure that Cindy is aware of that. That may still need to happen, Mark.
And it may be because it's a Council of Aging, they have a different set of expectations. It may not be necessary because they have had a general waiver from anybody who registers. I don't know.
Oh, participants with the, yeah, I hear. Okay,
Yeah.
I understand. Let me ask on that and I'll circle back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next item, Mike?
Those are my questions, and they were answered, so we can move forward.
Okay. Yep. So the vote right now, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of approving the application? Celine,
Yes.
David,
Affirmative.
Mark?
Affirmative.
It's passed. Next one we have on the agenda is the porta potty cost for the Triton Youth Soccer. This is more of the town is wondering, are we gonna credit them or are we gonna make them pay for this for this year? So that's the question from the town to us that we needed to determine tonight. So I would like to hear a motion whether we should or should not reimburse Triton Youth Soccer for the cost of the porta potty for this season.
Well, my two questions are, one, what's our discretionary funds availability at this time and projected for the remainder of the calendar year? And then two, when we made the pronouncement a couple meetings ago, that we weren't going to be able to do it if they wanted to, offering it to both soccer programs and lacrosse, my understanding and my interpretation was it would be at their own cost. We would not object to it, but that we would not be absorbing any of those costs.
Anybody else have any questions or comments regarding that? Because I agree with Mark.
I agree with Mark.
Celine, if you got a question or a comment, I'd rather hear it.
I have no.
Okay. Discretionary fund wise, we don't have a lot. Last thing I saw was 19,000, but I don't know what else is going to be absorbed between now and the end of the year because we still haven't received a couple of things going through, and I want to make sure we have the money. But again, I agree with what Mark said. We would not fight it, but we weren't paying for it. So I would make a motion that we do not, we allow the, as we allowed the the porta potty to be used, but we will not be reimbursing them, and that fee will be passed on to Triton Youth Soccer. And they can divvy it up with Rush and lacrosse on a, how they see fit. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we, what's the word I'm looking for? That if there are discussions with the soccer programs and lacrosse about divvying up the price, we don't get involved. That's a decision that they have to make on themselves, and it's not up to us to push for any type of resolution.
I'm just going to notify the town if we approve this motion that we are not going to do it. I'm going to let them know that the responsibility falls back on Triton Youth Soccer. They will then have to handle among themselves how they want to handle the fee for it.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of not approving, not paying for the porta potty, reimbursing them? Celine?
Yes.
Mark?
Do not reimburse, yes.
Yes. David?
Yes, do not reimburse.
I will send the email back to Diane Doyle, let her know that and to Lindsay that we are allowing them to use it, but we're not paying it. That's gonna be their responsibility to pay for it. Okay, next thing on the list, Rush has an application for the summer. They've asked for 2 weeks, Monday to Thursday, the 19th to the 22nd and the 26th to the 29th for one field number 1. They're looking for it for an hour and a half each night of those 3. So the total cost would be $180. It's 12 hours times $15 an hour. That do I make a motion to approve their application. Do I hear a second? All right. Any discussion? All those in favor, Celine,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
David?
Yes.
I will notify Rush that their application's been approved. Next on the list, I have Sphinx that submitted an application for July 26th to the 29th. It is from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Thursday. They're looking for field 3. It does not conflict with the Rush application. They'd be looking, the total cost is $360. It would be 24 hours times $15 an hour. I make a motion to approve the application. Do I hear a
Second.
second? Do I hear any discussion? All those in favor, Celine,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
David?
Yes.
I'll notify Sphinx that their application's been approved. Jack, the next item on the list is to discuss the feasibility of a boat launch and what would we kind of need to start. We like to keep this as somewhat brief, but I wanted to get an idea of your thoughts after you had a conversation with the Conservation Committee after you and I talked about it.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate your time. Congratulations, Alicia, on your victory. Great job.
I'm still here.
Thank you.
Mike and group, first thing I sent an email today. Did anyone, is everyone or anyone able to download it, Will?
And open the attachment, Jack.
I was able to open it up, yes. There's a topographical map of the area.
Yeah, and a bunch of snapshots taken as well.
Okay, I didn't get that part.
It's downloadable. It says preview not available because it's too large of a file, but you can download without the preview.
Yeah, and you had to ask for permission, Jack. That was the only thing I had to do. And I did receive that this afternoon, so.
I'll just say, I'll run through a couple things if you don't, to try to move it along if you want. First off, nomenclature wise, I would not call this or in any way let the public view it as a boat launch. It would be a dedicated canoe kayak landing or launch, but the notion that a boat in any way, shape, or form, down to a rowboat or a john boat down there, that'd be a false notion, and I wouldn't want to promote it in any way because I don't think that area was ever designed for that type of a landing. It was designed for exactly what we're talking about: small, very small, unmotored personal watercraft, being kayaks for two or canoeing accordingly.
Jack, I've got it. I can share the screens if you want it. I was able to download it.
If you
Want me
want
to
to,
give permission?
Yes, if you would. I just realized I need permission to do it.
go ahead. I have absolutely no
No,
problem.
I'm waiting. Celine's got to give it to me so I can do it.
Okay. So I'll walk through.
All right, here. All right, Jack.
Okay, so of course, this is the former approach of the airport to the river. Down the bottom, you can see the lights. Go ahead, Mike. Of course, to the left, down here to the left, you can see a little bit of a stone area already carved out unused. It's probably space for about good 4 cars parked if you cleaned up the weeds. This right here is the area from in the foreground where the grass thatch is broken a little bit to where I stand is about 25 feet. I walked across that. That's the area where the swale drains down to where the tidal push comes up and meets. The tidal push generally only happens at super high tides. Most of the time it's very damp and you can walk across getting slightly wet. And I say to you up front that with canoers and kayakers, the recreational people that we are, portage, wet or dry, mud and unmud is kind of a given. So these things, although maybe to the casual eye look, wow, what are you doing that for? Where I submit to you, there are many areas through the Crane Wildlife Area, through the Thurlow Bridge access areas, where this is exactly the type of thing you do to work in harmony with the area in order to gain access to the mother lode of water that's beyond it. Go ahead, Mike. That's me this is turned around looking back at the stone lot area. And this is in the foreground is the dampness. You can see a little bit of shine to some of the mud. This is today, this morning at low tide. Now, from where I was standing going forward, as you know, there's a trail system on that spit of land. Right in front of me, 5 feet, was tying into the existing walk trail that's at the point of the westernmost point of the property. And this is curling around as if I just crossed that area you saw. This is the first thing you would see. Oh, there's the river. So you would be holding your canoe or kayak, you immediately see this. And I've launched from here many times. That's why we're rolling this way. Go ahead. Now, here, this is, if you want to stop there, Mike, starting at this area and climbing back towards the field, the embankment gets significant. It goes from probably about 8 feet or so to about a 30-foot embankment that makes it prohibitive for any kind of launching further upstream. This is an area at that angle that you see in front of you, and it'll show better in another picture, where you can drop down to the mud flat that'll allow you direct access to the river even at low tide. Go ahead, Mike. Another view of the little trail between the trees. Now, I just walked across. This is the top of the river. You can see by the thatch in between the green, only at high tide does the thatch get pushed this high up. Where I'm standing, and you'll eventually see another picture, it's probably about 50 feet. These areas can be walked across, and I'll get to Brian in a few minutes. I'm sorry he couldn't make it. I'll let you know that the things that we talked about here. So where I'm standing is where you would put your canoe in. Go ahead, Mike. It's just another shot from, here we go. Now you can see this is low tide. And what you see before you is like a mud slick. But again, for canoers and kayakers, we understand this is the way you get into the river. So it's not prohibitive to us. You would have carried your canoe or kayak here, and you or your friend would literally skid your way down into the river right from this point. Go Go ahead. This is like me stepping back again, low tide, just giving you a perception of what you're looking at. That's looking at the backside of Orchard Street. This is, again, now I'm turned around, and this is that angle where my daughter Dana is where the trail that exists is cut. And we would come between those two trees. You can almost see the natural trail there because people do portage here, and it's an area that's utilized this way. So it's kind of in use that way. Now, as you can see, looking upstream from where I stand, you can see the embankment climbs quite a bit. It becomes absolutely prohibitive to do anything further upstream, though it's wonderful to canoe up there and see that embankment at low or high tide. It's pretty impressive. Good. Again, you see the nature of the embankment going back towards the field now. We're looping back towards the knoll and the swale. This is the thatch that you walk on as you cross that mud stuff, and why you can only get a little bit damp, because you physically walk on that. That's just the natural debris that falls down over the course of time. Right. This is the view when you turn around from where you're launching from, whether you watch your husband take off or your wife or your children. This is what you turn around, and that's what the river aims to. Again, super high, moving back towards. The red house is our neighbor at Central Street. You can see his dock over there directly across, and his canoes on there. Again, you accept the fact you're gonna get a little dirty before you go out. Again, higher view, backside. This is the log cabin house when you go down through the dip on Orchard Street. That's the little brook that crosses through, just for a point of reference. That's looking back that way. And again, the dock on the left. This is the trail that exists right through there. If you've never been down there, it's a wonderful little, wonderful area to go on. Well traversed and always in use. So, I'm sorry Brian couldn't make it tonight. I had a difficult time. We've never had to touch base directly before, and I had met him on a pre-construction walk on a project on 66 Parish Road here. And we talked directly on the side. What I can convey directly, and I'm sure at the next meeting, Mike, if you'll put this on the agenda, we won't have to have the presentation, of course, but I think what Brian, I've tried to do between now and then is, what we can do with minimal impact is bring stones across. I'm not sure the nature of the stones yet. That has to be worked out. It'll be physical manpower and stones which allow the tide, whether it's swale runoff or tide coming back and forth, to get us from the bottom of the former airport approach and onto the trail system that exists. And as well, review with Brian how we climb across the top of the river where the thatch is to actually launch the boat and not the boat, the kayaks or the canoes, because it's a big advantage having it there, because getting out at low tide or every tide makes it 100% accessible. And not only that, the high and low tides afford different views throughout the system as you make your way out through Thurlow Bridge and all the way out to, to England if you can paddle that far. So I appreciate the time. I think it's big bang for small buck. I'd be willing to put a lot of the labor into it, both myself and I'm sure I can raise some handy hands. And my next point, Mike, would be or goal is to get with Brian directly and a rep of the rec committee, whoever you guys would so be inclined to appoint as a de facto direct rep, so that when we walk the area that we just showed, or that we just saw in print with a Concom member, we can discuss the actualities and be guided by him for minimum fiscal expenditure and maximum public benefit. That's my goal. I hope that coincides with everybody's goals. Any questions? I'm game.
So
Thank you for, go ahead, Celine.
Sorry, Jeff, are people going to be parking up in the lot and then bringing down their kayaks and canoes from there? Or are you going to anticipate us opening up the back part?
again, everything, we're fluid. The dream, of course, would be keep cars where you could see them, as we used to park all along the back. For instance, today, the second gate was open, and I was able to drive to just about the top of the hill where the asphalt sort of ends up at the top. So I kept my car in view. So if anybody locked the second gate, they would see somebody was behind it. And at the same time, it occurred to me, maybe directing someone there until comfort levels are gained by, letting people down in what's effectively a blind spot. I understand that, but I'm fluid. Do I carry right now, I'll tell you, Celine, I carry my canoe from the field house all the way over. Do I like it? No. Is it a pain in the ass? Yes. Do I get great enjoyment out of being on that river to make it all worthwhile? Like most of the people that, that enjoy that recreation? Yeah, we do it. Would it be great to get closer? It's not a deal breaker, honestly, to be able to have a more formal landing with a sign that says you can. I think for engagement purposes, to show that this can be more, this can be a park and there's more to be had here, I think. And I think it's anyone that goes on, anyone I've ever taken on that river, and I would take anyone that's so inclined. I have a 2-person Old Town canoe, and I'd be happy to go ride the tide with you, so there's no paddling involved. And I assure you, you'd go again on your own and you'd bring somebody else. It's that enjoyable.
So I like the idea. I thought we looked into this once way back, and there was something about, do we have to do something at the federal level?
Well, can I jump in here, if I may? Yeah, we did look into this a while back. Seems like to be 2 different ideas that went out. Again, Jack, I appreciate you clarifying the language, and I know for some people they are synonymous and they get thrown around, but there are very clear and distinct differences between what types of watercraft can go out. The vision that, let me back up for a second. When the town went to purchase this property, it is my understanding that a group of residents, to help make this a more palatable to the population as a whole, so it's not just youth athletics that were being addressed, that it was in fact something for other people, that at the time they could, if the town bought the property, they could work with the state to put in a canoe access point, is what they typically call it. And the state would do it. The problem with that was the state would require the town, this is throughout the Commonwealth, to forego ownership of that parcel of land, not necessarily the whole piece, but an area, so it's theirs and the town can't take ownership of it. And that sort of went by the wayside, and it certainly became harder to do. When I talked to, I'm trying to think, the guy at Fish and Wildlife, he came out and said we could do it. We put you on the list, keep us posted, but there are complications to it. I then went to Riverside and Pickering, marine contractors up in Portsmouth. They came down with Chandler Everett, their surveyor, and some of their engineers, and looked at it. Again, access point is different than a launch, and one idea was to see what would it be like to put something more, make it accessible for more people instead of going through the mud. I know, Jack, for the diehards, absolutely, they will do anything. I know my daughters lead canoe expeditions down the Allagash, and their kids go through about 1.5 feet of mud for about 1.5 miles, and that's just what you do. But it may not be palatable to more casual people. They were looking at and understanding that this is a tidal river, and part of, I believe, under the jurisdiction of the Army Corps of Engineers. if any type of structure was built, there would be not just local ComCon, but the Army Corps of Engineers would come in, or the EPA, I don't remember which. And one of the criteria was it couldn't block the flow of the water, which is very different than what Jack's proposing. I don't know if anybody's been to the access point off of Route 1 on the Parker River and try to put in there. Like Jack said, you go through marshy stuff and you just time it so that it's not super low tide. So it's a deep embankment, or you don't want to go when it's super high tide where you're just floating over the marsh.
Mark, you're talking about, Mark, is that you're talking about the Plum Island Station canoe launch, is that correct?
Yes, right off of Route 1, yeah.
Yeah, right, immediately after the old farm that the Plum Island monitoring station's at. Correct. Now, there you go, Mark. A classic example. I agree entirely with the premise. That's why I had a great conversation with Brian, and why, if you're so inclined to be the liaison, your crew's inclined to allow you to be that. I submit to you that there is a simple way to get it going, and we don't have to build the Taj Mahal first in order to hope they come. The same way that launch exists right there at that transfer station, or if you want to use the nomenclature point, is the same way we can create momentum by getting people there before we build anything more than what I had that discussion with Brian over specifically was, what can we put in with minimal invasion but promote the notion? Promoting the notion comes first, the momentum will come second, but if we give access under some condition, fighting as what you're talking about, and using every, I don't care, EPA, Fed, state, DEP, I submit to you that the crossings that we're building are nothing less than what the Boy Scouts have built twice over to gain access to the island that's not 50 feet away. So I can submit to you directly that it's a point of use already in use. And I believe that plays into what Brian was feeling could be a foothold in allowing great public access to the area. And that's why we need him to be here, because he is absolutely the first and foremost person to begin guidance of all kinds, because he is that point person for the town and would be, of course, for us. And I'm looking forward to arranging that meeting with anybody that wants to come walk it, and then of course we'll report directly back.
Yeah, Jack, I appreciate this. I just put it on the agenda for the June 7th meeting, and hopefully we can, because the only other thing I have on the list is for that is really to talk to our new IT contact to see if we can get things done. So we certainly appreciate everything you did here, and I know I can get some people as well to help out to get those stones laid, because I can't wait to get on that river. So I certainly appreciate everything you did on this as usual. And if anybody else has any other questions, I do have this scheduled for the next meeting as well. So the only thing I have left on the agenda for tonight is just to get an idea, because we all have to have our decisions of whether we're coming back to the Recreation Committee as of July 1. Please submit your intentions to the town before then. We all did it last year, so it's a matter of just using a lot of the same information, or why you want to do it, or why you don't want to, or you're choosing not to say so. I would ask, if you are not planning on coming back, just to let me know. You don't have to do it here, but just let me know before the end, because we need to then work on getting other members here. But I've already submitted my paperwork to stay.
Can we just go back to Jack? I would enjoy the opportunity to work with Jack and the Conservation Commission to push this forward. Does anybody have any objections if
No,
I become the point person?
Please.
And what I'll do is, Mark and committee, all of my emails will be addressed to all. And Mark, in order to keep everyone in the loop, I look forward to, I'm sure I'll be able to arrange something between now and the 7th. I'll reach out to Brian. He'll give me a couple of dates, and Mark will meet between now and then, and I'll reach out at that time.
I'm gonna just pipe in for 1 second. Jack, if you're gonna copy the whole committee, be careful on deliberations, because that's how we run amok of the open meeting law. So you and Mark and one other committee member can talk, but when you start involving the whole committee, that's when we can get into trouble. Thanks.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? If not, our next meeting is scheduled for June 7th at 6 p.m. Mark, you saying something? Your screen keeps highlighting, so I wasn't sure if I caught something.
Nope, I'm just on the phone, so
Okay.
I'm
No, I just didn't want to be rude and not acknowledge what you were asking. So our next meeting is scheduled for June 7th at 6 p.m. If there's no more discussion or comments or anything, I hear a motion to adjourn.
I motion to
take a
adjourn.
motion. Go ahead, Dave. Say it again.
To adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
6:48 p.m.
6:48.
1 second. Kathy, it's your mom. Sorry, I got to do a roll here. All right, so I've heard a motion to adjourn in a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Celine? Celine? Can't hear you. We
Sorry.
lose you?
Yes, now I'm
Okay.
just muted.
Sorry. Mark
Yes, approve.
and David.
Yes.
Thank you all for a great night. Jack, again, thanks, and I'll talk to you soon. And everybody I hope we get a chance to enjoy the Memorial Day weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
night,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank
Right.
you.
Night. Bye-bye.